Thank you all for coming out tonight. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford. I am the Outreach and Marketing Coordinator for the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And we have a host of information to share with you tonight. Great information to help you with this journey of hopefully purchasing a home. And without further ado, I'm going to get right into the presentation and share my screen. Move that down and maximize this window. Okay, maximizing first-time home buyer opportunities with down payment assistance. My name is Jesse Crawford, and we are a housing agency. A little bit about the agency. Out of Trenton, New Jersey is where we're located, and we are a state housing finance agency. And we provide funding for affordable home ownership and housing opportunities to residents in the state of New Jersey. And we do this by implementing creative programs and establishing alliances that fund affordable home mortgages for first-time home buyers. And we provide a down payment assistance program for first-time home buyers. And we do this through a network of approved lenders. Some statistics. First-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers. The largest share of this is between the age group of 25 and 34, which accounts for 54% of all home buyers. Additionally, 71% of all first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now, studies show the leading barriers why folks rent instead of purchasing is because some of these barriers, such as down payment and closing costs, just not having that capital available or not being able to save that money. Also, qualifying for the mortgage might be an issue. The amount of debt that folks are carrying at this particular time, job security, whether or not they're even ready to settle down in one spot. So these are some barriers. And what we're seeing in the market today all across the country is not enough homes for sale, not enough inventory. So that's a barrier in itself. And hopefully that will be, or that will change over the course of the next few months. But on this chart, it shows affording a down payment, 68% said that was the leading barrier for them to buying a home. Qualifying for the mortgage came in at 53%. The amount of debt they're carrying came in at 50%, and job security came in at 39%. Now here's a snapshot of expenses that prevent folks from being able to buy or even save money for down payment for a home. Student loan debt. For first-time home buyers, 56% said this was a major obstacle for them. Credit card debt at 34%, car loans at 36%, child care expenses, healthcare costs, and others. Nearly 9 in 10 low-income renters said having money for down payment and closing costs was a major obstacle when they're considering buying a home. And of this percentage, 72% of renters also indicated the same challenge. Middle income renters indicated the same challenge. 62% of low income and 39% of middle income renters considered having funds as a major obstacle to home ownership. And additionally, 53% of renters cited their inability to afford down payment as the reason why they rent, by far the most frequently cited explanation. And I go through these statistics and these pointing out these obstacles and roadblocks to let you know that we have a solution to this issue and this problem for residents here in New Jersey. Now, our first-time home buyer program, we have a low interest rate first time home buyer mortgage that we will provide to qualified home buyers and couple that with our down payment assistance if needed. Now, here are the requirements for the first time home buyer program. The borrower must have a FICO score of 620 or greater and meet the requirements for debt to income ratios where the max is 40 and 40%, 47%. The borrower must purchase and occupy a home in the state of New Jersey, and it must be their primary residence in the state. You can be moving from out of state into New Jersey, but you're going to have to stay in New Jersey for a period of time as your primary residence here in our great state. Borrower must meet and qualify for a mortgage through one of our originating lenders. We have a participating lender list, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in this presentation. And the borrower must be a first-time home buyer. Now, first-time home buyer, as defined, as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing on their new home. Now, I want to get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation is our down payment assistance program. I like to refer to this as free money. We currently have $10,000 for qualified home buyers that you can utilize to use towards your down payment and closing costs. Now, the down payment assistance is a $10,000 forgivable loan. It's a loan with no payments and no interest rate. I'm going to repeat that. It's a $10,000 forgivable loan. It's not a grant. It's a loan, but it's a loan with no payments and no interest. Okay? And the down payment assistance is a sub-program that's coupled with our first mortgage. So you get a mortgage with us, a lower interest rate mortgage, somewhere around 2.75%, or if you don't qualify for that, the second interest rate for the second program that we have is called our Homeward Bound program. That interest rate currently is 3.25%. Okay? All our mortgages are government insured mortgages, either FHA, VA, or USDA. Currently, we do not offer conventional lending, but I'm proud to say and happy to say that we will be providing conventional lending within the next few months, and that is going to be a game changer for a lot of folks. Now, the other primary requirement is that if you're approved for the down payment assistance, you must reside in your property as your primary residence for 5 years after purchase, without selling the property, without refinancing, and obviously without defaulting on the mortgage. As long as you adhere to those guidelines, that $10,000 that you received is completely forgiven. Again, residing in the home for 5 years after purchase, without selling or refinancing or defaulting, the $10,000 is completely forgiven. Now, in the event that for some reason before that 5-year period is up and you decide you want to refinance or you cease to occupy the premises for the full 5-year term, you will be required to repay the $10,000 back in full. It's not prorated over the 5-year period. You must stay in the home for 5 years in order for it to be fully forgiven. The other great thing about our down payment assistance program is that we didn't always allow this, but we do now allow for new construction. You can purchase a newly constructed home that is going to be your primary residence here in the state of New Jersey for 5 years with our down payment assistance and lower interest rate mortgage. You also can couple our down payment assistance with any seller concessions that you might receive or any other down payment assistance program that you might receive from your county or local municipality, as long as they will allow it, meaning that other entity will allow it. You can couple our $10,000 with their funding that's available. And in some cases, you could conceivably close on your home with a little or no money out of your pocket at all. The eligible properties for the program, I've said this a number of times, the property must be located in the state of New Jersey. You can be moving from New York to New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut, but you're going to have to occupy the home in the state of New Jersey for a full 5 years. After 5 years, you can do whatever you want with the home. You can sell it, you can refinance it. It's entirely up to you, but you got to stay put in the state for 5 years. It must be a single family home. It can be a condo, a townhome, a manufactured home, a mobile home that's on a fixed foundation, not something that has wheels on it that you can wheel from town to town, but it has to be on a fixed foundation. And as I said earlier, no, I didn't actually say it earlier, but you can purchase up to a multifamily dwelling, up to 4 units, okay? And you must occupy one of those units as your primary residence for the full 5 years. So you buy a 2-family or a 4-family, you live in one, you rent the other ones out, you stay put for 5 years as your primary residence. Again, after 5 years, you can do whatever you want to do, all right? But it has to be your principal residence for a full 5 years. Now, for our program, for the down payment assistance program and our low interest rate mortgage, HUD-approved credit counseling is required. It's mandatory. Upon completing your credit counseling course, you will receive from the counseling agency a certificate. That certificate is good for 1 year before it expires. A copy of that certificate is to be submitted with your loan package to our agency prior to closing for review. So you can start this process if you haven't already, either before you get qualified for a mortgage. You can even start it after you've got qualified for a mortgage, but you have to have it completed and have that certificate prior to closing on your loan because it has to be submitted with your loan document. Now the link on this page, HUD.gov, I'm going to click on it really quick. And where are we? It's taking a minute to load up. You can go to HUD.gov and put in a search for a HUD-approved agency in your area, and it will return the results. It'll give you the address, telephone number, name of the organization, and what counseling services they provide, and what languages that they provide it in. HUD.gov. Now, if there's anyone on this particular webinar who's currently already pre-qualified and the lender that you're using is not one of our approved lenders, and you still want to take advantage of our down payment assistance, the $10,000 down payment assistance, you can simply have your lender contact us at sflenders@njhmfa.gov, and we can help them get on our list. It takes about a week. They have to provide some financial documents from their agency, and we will then work with them to get them approved and on our list. Now, for those who are looking to get started, I spoke earlier about a approved lender list, and this link here is our lender request form. And this is on our website. And if you go to nj.gov and click on consumers, find a lender, it's going to bring you to this lender request form. You can simply put in all your contact information, and we will have one of our top lenders contact you and work with you to get you pre-qualified and get the ball rolling and get you to closing. Now, we don't underwrite your file at all. We actually just provide the funding. The lender actually does all the work. They underwrite your loan, they get you pre-approved, they get you the commitment, and they factor in our $10,000 as your down payment, or to be used as your down payment and part of your closing costs, depending on how the loan is structured. In the event that you would like to see a full list, a full downloadable, printable list of our participating lenders, the link is in the middle of this page. It's a PDF file that will return all the lenders that are approved with us. If you currently have an approval from a lender, you can check the list to see if they're already on our list. If not, again, you can utilize SF lenders at njhmfa.gov to have them reach out to us so they can get on our list. And that concludes my part of this presentation. My contact information is here on the screen. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford. My email is here. It's the best way to reach me. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at any time. Email is the best way to reach me. You certainly can call me, but I might not get back to you right away, but I promise I will get back to you and answer your questions. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Jesse. We do have a couple questions in the chat. Just everyone, for chat purposes, if you want to take a look, I put a bunch of links in there, and then I just put Jesse's information again that you just saw on the screen. So for questions, Jesse, with the DPA, will the DPA, be a separate credit check along with applying for the mortgage? So will my credit be checked twice?
No, it will not.
Okay.
The lender would do a pre-approval, which is the kind of preliminary check. And then once you get your pre-approved letter, then the lender will then ask for significant documents. And I say significant, W-2s for multiple years, tax statements and other things, so they can work to get you a full commitment, an actual guaranteed approval of how much money they're going to lend to you. But no, it's not going to be run twice, no.
Great. And with that, part of that question was if you can go over what a hard pull is on your credit.
A hard pull on credit basically is an in-depth look at your credit history, and it's going to look at the major credit bureaus. And mortgage lenders have a different program, an algorithm that they look and review your credit worthiness for a mortgage. Credit card companies have their algorithm. Mortgage companies and banks have their own different algorithm. They use all three credit bureaus, but they got their own criteria. So when they say a hard pull, it means an in-depth look at your situation, not some preliminary look, where it's basically just grabbing your score. They're going to look at line by line. They're going to look at your payment history. They're going to look at your public statements on your credit report. They're going to look at inquiries. They're going to look at a number of things on the credit report. They factor in all that, not just the credit score itself.
And Jesse, I just wanted to add, if it's okay, I know that, for instance, when I was looking for a house and I was, shopping around from different lenders, different costs and interest rates and all that stuff, it's not so bad on your credit when it's done. Or is it like 2 weeks? They usually say within a 2-week period, as long as you're having people check your credit for the same thing. It's not like I'm buying a car, I'm buying a house, and I also want a loan. If it's all for a house, then that's okay.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Sen. And when you're applying for a mortgage, and particularly when you get approved, it's imperative that you don't open any new credit at all, period, while you're going through this process of getting your mortgage. True story, I'm a former loan officer, and I got an individual approved by a $450,000 house. We were good to go. Now understand, the lender's going to pull your credit at the beginning of the process, and they're going to pull your credit right before you close. And unbeknownst to me, my client went out and bought a Cadillac right before closing with a $450 payment. And unfortunately, we weren't able to close because now his debt to income ratios were through the roof. So I'm sharing this. Don't buy anything once you get qualified or you're going through this process for a mortgage. Don't buy anything. Don't even buy furniture. Wait until after you close on your home, and then you have the opportunity to purchase all those things. Plus, you've got greater buying power once you have a home, once you own a home. So just hold off. I know folks get excited, but don't purchase no car, no boat, nothing. Okay. Right.
You don't need it right now. I have 2 more questions. Can I leave my spouse off the mortgage since I am the better candidate credit wise?
It depends. And that's something you work with your lender on. Now, there are income limits for the household, but you certainly could get the mortgage in your name alone. Yes. And you can just share that information with your lender and they will know how to craft your loan.
Great.
But the income for the entire household is calculated.
Right. But the person's name on the mortgage could be just her. So the
you guys can feel free to unmute if you want to ask your questions also.
Yes, please. I have one more question in the chat, and then if anyone wants to unmute, feel free. This question is, my disabled son probably does not have any FICO score. Is he not able to use this program?
Well, just because you don't have a FICO score, there are ways to actually use alternative credit. And this is something that the lender, again, can work with. They use alternative credit, things such as your cell phone bill, your cable bill, things like that, that they can actually look at over a history, and underwriting can determine whether or not they can factor in those payment histories to qualify you for the mortgage. And again, that's something you need to share with your lender up front, and they have to figure out how to craft the loan. Because as loan officers, you have to figure out how to craft a loan to make it work for the situation that's in front of you within the law. Not cheating, just making it work and following the guidelines. So there is alternative credit options, but again, you have to share that with the lenders. That's a great question, though. Very good question.
Very good. Is credit counseling and housing counseling the same? Speaking as far as the link in the chat. So the one that I sent was the HUD-approved credit counseling.
Yeah, we kind of use those terms loosely, but what you're going to receive from the housing counseling or credit counseling agency, HUD credit counseling agency, is pre-purchase home buying counseling. That's what you will receive, and they're going to go through budgeting. They're going to go through credit. They're going to go through how to calculate your mortgage, how to break your mortgage payment out, a host of things, but it's called pre-purchase home buying counseling. But we use those terms loosely: credit counseling and housing counseling.
Great. Those are all the questions I have in the chat. Does anyone else want to unmute and ask any questions at all? We're here for you, whatever you need.
Hi, this is Hi. How long will this program have funding, do you think?
Barbara, I'm smiling because we got plenty of funding.
Oh,
we
okay.
got funding right now, I think all the way through 2024 currently.
Oh.
And the great thing about our agency, Barbara, is that we generate our own income. We're not tied to the state budget. So we generate our own income for programs, and we get money from the federal government to run certain programs also. So we have plenty of funding.
Okay, and from what I'm understanding, so this is setting up. We're trying to set up. I have a 30-year-old disabled son. We're trying to set up something for him to have a place to live as we are getting older, and we want to make sure he's set up. So he would take the counseling first, and then find a lender and get pre-approved. And this is even before you start looking for a property, correct?
Right, that is correct. That would be the best way to go about it, yes.
Thank you very much.
One other thing on our website, check out our website, Barbara. We have a link for our supportive housing connection. And there are housing specifically for disabled and for veterans and seniors. Check out our website, okay?
Thank you.
We'll try to find that specific link and put it, here it is, supportive housing.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I know it's important to be at one job for, what is it, 2 years or so. So I'm currently been at my job for 3 years and they are cutting hours. So I'm considering getting a second job, both part-time. So as far as getting the second job and only being added for a couple months, like, will I be able to still account that second job income, or are they going to only be looking at the 3-year job income?
Well, that second job you just started, so they really don't have a history. It's additional income.
Yeah,
but,
and I do plan on being there for some time, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to know, is it even like worth it to get the second job if it's not going to be considered for income?
Well, you're gonna have to work with the lender. I think, did you send me an email?
Maybe.
Okay, all right. You're gonna have to work with your lender and explain that, and they'll know how to craft it. Your lender is your partner here, and you have to be upfront with them about your situation, and they have to figure out what will work and what may not work. Now, the 3-year job is fine, but the one you just started, you need some type of track record and history of payments for that. So I don't think so, but I don't want to rule it out until you talk to your lender.
All right, thank you.
All righty?
Great questions. Do we have any other questions? Anything at all? Barbara, I sent you that link directly in the chat, just to make sure you got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. We're just waiting for our next speaker to come on. So while we're waiting, I'm just going to go over and I'm going to put in the chat here our link to our YouTube channel. Excuse me. So the link I just put in there, that's our YouTube channel where you can find all of our webinars that we've done so far that were recorded. Today's, like I said earlier, will be on there tomorrow, probably about by the end of the day. So you can find them there. And then my next link I'm going to put up there is a link to our website, which I mentioned earlier. Excuse me, my allergies are bad today. And this link will show you all the upcoming webinars that we'll have until mid-June. So if you want to join another one, which sometimes we have a realtor on, which can give you a little more information on their end, you can feel free to register for another one, or if you know someone who wants to join. And then on that same page, you can also view the webinars that we've recorded. And you'll see when you go to our YouTube channel, there's descriptions under each video that tells you who was on the call as the speaker. So you'll see, if you're looking for one with a realtor, you'll see in the description, it'll say realtor was on there if you want to hear them speak about everything on their end. Jesse, while we're waiting for Sital, do you want to speak a little bit on that, on realtors? I know you have a list of your 9.
Yeah. Normally, thanks, Jen. Normally we have a realtor who comes on and explains what their job is for you as the potential buyer. And, you know, basically the realtor is there to do about 9 things for you. One, if you're not pre-approved and you have a realtor already, they're going to help you get pre-approved because they have basically a pipeline of lenders that they work with. So if you're not already pre-approved, you can reach out to a lender. I'm not a lender, but I'm sorry, but a real estate agent. Typically, folks get agents referred to them by friends and family members, or you can go realtor.com and do a search for a realtor in your area. look at ratings on those realtors, and then decide from there. But one, they can help you get approved because of the network of trusted lenders and other professionals that they work with. Two, obviously, they're there to help you find a home. Their job is to figure out what you want, what you need, and honestly, what you can afford. So it's based on what you are actually approved for by the bank for your pre-qualification. Now you know how much home you can afford. And then they have to find out what your needs and wants are and navigate that and get as close to it as possible, okay? And the third thing is they're there to negotiate the offer. A realtor should be a good negotiator, and they should be able to work with the seller, the seller's attorney, your attorney, all parties involved to help negotiate the price that you are willing to pay for this particular home. Also, they should be able to understand what the value of that home is worth and if it's indeed overpriced. So the realtor is there to work for you. The realtor also should help you with home inspection. The realtor should be present for the home inspection. You shouldn't have to go through it by yourself with the inspector. 6 eyes, 8 eyes are better than 2, okay? So something that the inspector might not pick up, the realtor may pick up, or you might pick up. And then you can talk about those things, and if it's something that needs to be repaired or addressed, you can work with your attorney, their attorney, the seller's attorney, all parties involved to get it rectified. Now, I kind of jumped the gun. Number 5 was attend the home inspection. So that's a given. Now, number 6, if there are any repairs that need to be addressed, the realtor should be available to negotiate with the seller those repairs. And again, with your attorneys all involved, get everybody together on one page and negotiate that. 7, communicate with the seller's agents and buyers throughout the sale. They're there to basically be the leader, the ringleader of all parties, and they got to be able to communicate with everyone in a functional way. Got to be able to communicate. Also, number 8, which is very important, is once you receive your loan commitment, your lender, your realtor, and yourself should all be on top of your loan commitment dates, because your loan commitment has an expiration date. So in the event that you are getting close to that date and you may not close before that commitment expires, you need to make sure that you're on top of it and your realtor's on top of it to get that date extended so that there aren't any issues or any hiccups, and your attorney is aware of everything that's going on. So again, it's all parties working in unison on your behalf to get this thing to closing. And number 9, finally, any loose ends, your realtor's there to take care of anything that might hinder you getting to the closing table. And that your realtor is the only person involved throughout this entire transaction that doesn't get paid until the closing. So it's their job to make sure this thing goes right and smooth and covers you in every way possible. That's what a realtor is supposed to do for you in a nutshell. I know I kind of went through it pretty quickly, but they're there to help you every step of the way.
That's great. Thank you, Jesse. Does anyone have questions about what the realtor should be doing for you? Jesse, are there only certain approved properties for this program, or are you free to find any house as long as the seller is aware?
You can purchase any property in the state of New Jersey, with the exception of foreclosures, okay? One, because the requirement for this program is that the home basically has to be move-in ready. It needs to have minimal work, no major work. But you can purchase anywhere throughout the state of New Jersey, any county. You're not restricted to any county. Anywhere that your offer is taken, you get approved, you can purchase throughout the state of New Jersey.
Great, thank you.
I have a question about the lender list.
Sure.
Mhm.
So it's a bit not too extensive, but there are a few of them on here. So am I just calling to simply say I'm gonna apply for a mortgage? Like, how do I go about? Do I have to go through each website, look at
No,
their rates, and then try to figure out why Prosperity Home Mortgage is at the top and why Western Express is at the bottom? Like,
no. It's Olivia.
yes.
Yeah, that our list is not a list rated by the number one to the
Mm-hmm,
last. Now understand, for each and every lender on that list,
mm-hmm,
they don't set the interest rate at all. We do. Our interest rates are dictated by our agency every single day, and we send them out to the lenders by 10 a.m. each business day. The lender does not change the interest rate in any way at all. So if the interest rate is 2.75, that's the interest rate you get. What I would recommend for you to do is utilize the lender request tool, that link that I had in my presentation earlier.
mm-hmm.
Basically, all you have to do is put in your information, all your contact information, and we will return 3 of our top lenders to you by way of that referral.
Oh, okay.
With that list, you basically go down the list and decide which one you want. Some folks have worked with other lenders on that list, but for someone who has no clue what lender to pick, use your lender referral tool, and it does the work for you.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
All righty?
Sure. Great question.
And that link should be in your chat, in the chat box.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
could put it there again. So I'm going to pass it off to our next speaker. I just want to make sure he's got audio. Sital. So let me just put his information in the chat first. So here we go. So Sital Shah, he's with Shaw Legal Law Firm, and he's our attorney, and his phone number is in there. He's got a website, and then he's got an Instagram page if you want to check any of that out. If you have any questions after the presentation, feel free to reach out. Sital, can you hear us? It doesn't look like you have audio. You might not be able to talk to us at the moment. Let me also pull up while we're waiting for him. What was it? The lender request form, right? We were just talking about. I'll put that back in. So it's at the bottom there for you all. Copy. Paste. Okay. While we're waiting for Sital to come on, I'm also going to put in 2 documents. One's in English, one's in Spanish, in case anyone needs it. Sital had sent us a, what does he call it? Sital's, sorry, I'm just searching my many documents.
I see Sital, but I don't see him connected.
Yeah, I just saw his camera. Here we go. His attorney guide to buying your home. There's the Spanish one. Let me find the English. So very good information. He always has a ton of good information for everyone. Open this up. Okay, looks like he signed off so that he can come back in and try again. Let's just give it a moment. Has anyone on the call tried or has anyone been approved yet that might have questions for what to do next?
No, but I would want to know what to do next.
Okay.
So,
Well,
okay, so sorry. So the first step would be to fill out the lender form and then go from there. That is-
Right. The lender form, and then you will get an email or a telephone call with the information of the lender. Typically, the lender is going to reach out to you, but if you want to reach out to them, once you get the information, that's fine also. And what they're going to do is pre-approve you, all right, based on some preliminary information, pre-approve you for a mortgage and let you know how much you can afford. And it's at that point, then you can reach out to a realtor and start shopping for your home. And in that same time span, your lender is going to work with collecting those additional documents to underwrite the loan so they can get you a firm commitment. Okay? And if you haven't already taken the pre-purchase counseling, you can do that all during this time frame. And the lender is going to do everything. The lender is going to collect all your documents, get you a firm approval, and work with all parties to get you to closing. And again, all we do is fund. We fund and review the file for compliance, and that's it. And you don't have to fill out another application for the down payment. Everything is done through the lender.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as like the realtor, when you say work with the realtor, is that the person who is showing the house and things like under the listing? Like if I look on Redfin or whoever, and then it says that the realtor is Remax, Fox and Roach, whoever, that's the person that I'm working with, or do I shop like somewhere else, like Century 21, whoever? Like,
Understand that you have a buyer's realtor and a seller's realtor. Okay, you want a realtor that represents you, so you hire your own realtor. Okay, and whoever listed that property, they represent the person selling that property.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you want someone working on your behalf, looking out for you in your best interest.
Okay, so I have to shop for my own. Like,
yeah, and you can, if you know anybody else who closed on a home recently, friends or family, talk with them and ask them who they use.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
I saw Satal for a moment. He must be having some real issues connecting.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if he can call in, but if we can't get him on, I attached his guide to buying your home. Very informal, or very great information for you, I should say, if you want to check that out. His information's on that as well. And like I said on the YouTube videos, he was on the one that we just did on Tuesday. That was Monmouth. Am I right, Jesse?
Monmouth, yeah, we did Monmouth.
I think he's actually been on all of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Tuesdays was Morris, Sussex, and Warren. We combined them all, but he's been on all of them. I don't think there's one, honestly, that he has missed. So I would definitely check that out. He gives a lot of great information as a lawyer once you get into home buying, and once you get to that process of doing attorney review and all that stuff. He gives a lot of helpful information to you. So I would definitely. What was that?
Does he have a number to call in?
Yeah, it should be on the Zoom.
He's in the
invite
waiting
that-
room. I'm gonna let him in.
I don't. Oh, he is.
Yeah, I just let him
Yes.
back in again.
Perfect.
But in the meantime, if you can text him the telephone number to dial in or that information,
Yeah.
he can just call it from the phone and give his presentation, because I don't want them to miss out.
Yeah,
His,
definitely.
his thing is vital.
Let me give the. Let me just pull the phone number. Hey, Satal, can you hear us? Pull the phone number. Sorry.
He's in the waiting room, according
Still?
to this.
I don't know why it's not admitting him.
Are you gonna admit him or you want me to?
I did. I don't know why it's not going in. Number. Okay. Let's see if he can call in. So we see him there. We're just not seeing that he's got audio.
Do you have his cell or you just have his email?
No. I mean, I have the telephone number I gave everyone else. I don't know if he's at the office or not. I could try. Bear with me one moment. I see him. Lisa, talk. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? You gotta unmute.
Yeah, hi, hello?
Hey.
I can hear you, but it's something weird's happening. It keeps saying transcript recording in process and it keeps freezing. If you can hear me and see me either or, I'll start, but I can't see you.
The other thing is that you can call in if you want and just talk over the phone. That's entirely up to you.
Can you hear us at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just emailed them to try calling in.
You're muted. You're muted, Satal.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can now. I can't see. It keeps saying that live transcript recording in progress. It's odd.
Yeah, it's because we put captions on because we just started trying that, but I don't know why it's giving you trouble.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
like-
see you. It's funny. I can only see my beautiful face. I'm staring at myself. It's odd.
That's not bad.
So long as you can hear me, just give me the cue when to start because I can't see anything. Now
Okay, yeah, you can start now. So I gave everyone your information, your phone number. I gave everyone your the guide to buying a home.
Yeah. We need him to call in because it's not going to work.
It happened again.
Can you
Yeah,
call
did you
in?
get my email with the number and?
Yeah, I'm gonna call in with the number. Let me
Okay,
do that now.
sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
You got it. Yep.
So at least you all got to see what he looks like. And now you'll be able to hear him. Sorry about that, everyone.
You won't be disappointed.
No, it's definitely worth the wait. He's got a ton of information. He says basically the same thing every webinar, but I always enjoy hearing it. It's great information. I guess we don't have anyone on here tonight that had not registered, right? I'm gonna double check, but I had said earlier, if you had gotten a Zoom link from someone and did not register, you won't be getting our follow-up email. So just chat me if that's the case, if you did not register, so I can make sure you get those. But I'm gonna look now.
Do you guys have any recommendations on websites to find a realtor? Or is that just something I need to do on my own based on my needs?
Where are you looking to purchase?
Where, like Pennsauken?
Okay, we can refer one of the realtors that we utilize here on our webinar for you. Okay, and we can give you that information.
Just
You can put that in the chat function, okay?
All right.
is it for Chiquita?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll put that in there now.
Thank you.
Hey, Satal, is that you on the phone?
Yeah, that's me.
There we go. Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate it.
No problem. Yep.
All right, you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Satal J. Shah. Good evening to all, to Cynthia, Jesse, and everybody out there. I am the attorney for this portion of the program. The best thing to remember when you're signing a contract is to take a deep breath and do not worry. There's a 3-business-day attorney review. That means you have 3 business days to review the contract with your attorney and advise him, understand, have questions, clarify, and make changes to the contract. Now, it's business days, so Saturday, Sunday, and federal holidays like Memorial Day this Monday do not count. So if you sign a contract on Saturday or tomorrow, Tuesday attorney review starts. I like to call the attorney review period the agree to disagree period. That means you have an opportunity to review the contract with your client, with your attorney, and the sellers will do the same with their attorney. It goes back and forth. You'll make changes. They will make changes. The goal is agree to disagree. If you find the seller's changes acceptable to the contract, the seller somewhat finds your changes acceptable, that means you have a meeting of the minds. You came to an agreement. When you sign off on the changes, the sellers sign off on the changes, attorney review is done. That means it's a binding contract and no one can interfere. The first advice I'll give you is practical advice, not legal advice. The market is very hot. houses seem to fly off the shelves, and you've seen a lot of homes and you're probably tired. When you find a home that you like, you want to finish attorney review quick. That means you sign off and they sign off, then it's yours. The longer you take to conclude attorney review, you're inviting somebody else to make an offer on the home that you want and to take it away from you by bidding more money. So you want to close out that loophole. So work quickly and conclude attorney review. Within the contract, a few basic questions I get asked most often. The number one question is, how much deposit do I put down? Typically, a good faith deposit is about $1,000. Sellers would probably like you to put an additional deposit, generally placed 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 days after attorney review. There is no textbook answer. It could be any amount of money. The sellers always want you to give more. Buyers always want to give less. It could be 3, 5, 10% down, 20% down. It could be any number. Typically, thereafter, people always ask me, what appliances are included in the house? There's only, by law, the stove is required to be installed and working. There's no fundamental right to a dishwasher, refrigerator, or any other appliances. When you are seeing a house and you happen to see a new appliance, you can't always assume what you see is what you get. If you see a brand new refrigerator, brand new dishwasher, note it down in the contract. Newer, brand new, Sears, Kenmore, it's helpful. Because what you see is not what you may get. I've seen situations where people see a nice refrigerator, they think that's the one they're getting, and right before closing, the 1972 Grandma Special shows up, and that's what you're getting. You're just entitled to a refrigerator, not the new one that they bought. So take the 3-4 minutes, jot down the details. Details matter. Typically, in the contract, you'll have 14 days to do a home inspection. You do a home inspection, you provide your attorney with a copy of the report and a list of repairs that you would like for him to help you negotiate. Sellers will either perform the repairs, provide you with a credit, or a combination thereof. Now, the number 2 question I get asked every day is, what can I ask for regarding home inspections? I mean, you can ask for everything, but that's not realistic, and that really won't happen, that the seller would address everything that you want. The sellers are obligated generally to address major repairs. Major repairs is defined by the contract. It's not defined by me, nor the other attorney, nor you, or not anyone else. Major is electrical, plumbing, sewer, mechanical systems should be in working order. No environmental concerns like mold or radon, no termite issues. The windows should be operating and working. Roof should be intact. Structural foundation and basements should be intact, free of all leaks. Plumbing and electrical should be working. These are major repairs. If the sellers do not address the major repairs, you have the right to cancel the contract. Now, what if you ask for other repairs and the seller rejects them? That's not a reason to cancel the contract. If they don't do some of the major repairs, that's a reason to cancel. If they perform other repairs that are not major, that's considered a Christmas gift. You say thank you. They didn't have to address it, nor do you have the right to cancel based on the rejection of those repairs that are small or deemed important to you but not major. Now, the other question I get asked most often is, if I don't like the results of the inspections, I change my mind, I want to buy in a different county after I did this NJMFA seminar, and I don't want to be in the contract that I'm in. You can't just get out of the contract based on inspections. It doesn't work that way. Inspections is not based on your personal feelings, your mood, and your temperament. If the sellers perform the major repairs, you legally don't have a right to cancel the contract. You may ask me, well, how do I get out of the contract because I don't want it? If they decide not to perform any of the major repairs, that's our legal excuse to get out of the contract. If you want to get out of the contract, the seller has the right always to address the repairs before you cancel. You cannot just do the inspections and expect to terminate the contract without allowing them the opportunity to address it. Most likely, we will be called out by the other attorney reminding us they have the right to address the repairs. Think about it. If the other side addresses all the repairs, you have no legal complaint because they're addressing what you want. So you have to play the game, try to give them a chance, and then if it's rejected, we get out of the contract. This way, you get your deposit monies back, because the other way, your deposit monies may be held up. Typically in the contract, you'll have 4 weeks to get a mortgage commitment, the piece of paper from the lender. In simple English, they're asking you for paperwork. They review the paperwork. They approve the paperwork or reject the paperwork or ask for more information. Once the paperwork is issued, basically it'll say your loan is approved. They will show up with the money on the day of closing. Typically, you get 4 weeks. Your attorney will review title work. You want to make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. That is not your issue. That's your attorney's issue and his responsibility, or his or hers. However, it's your responsibility if you're hiring people who don't know what they're doing, who are not real estate professionals or real estate attorneys. If you're hiring attorneys that don't do real estate, you're asking for trouble, because there's a lot of detail in a closing that may get overlooked, and gets overlooked by even experienced people. Now, whenever you're in a closing, like for example, title work, so some things may seem obvious. Seller's mortgage has to be paid off because that's a lien on the property. Seller's water bill and past bills, sewer bills have to be paid off. What may not be so obvious is whenever you sign a contract, you just assume the seller is the owner because they signed it. They have to be the owner. It's not necessarily the case. The title work will reveal if somebody else is the owner. That also has to be added to the contract. For example, in a seller situation, if they owe child support, many of you may not think it's an issue dealing with you, but if the seller doesn't pay child support, it's a lien on the current home. And 12 months of future payments that are not paid are also lienable. That means it attaches to the house and becomes your responsibility, which I know you don't want to pay, if it doesn't get taken care of. This is an overview. Then let's make pretend the closing is tomorrow. If the closing is tomorrow at 2 o'clock, your attorney would have already reached out to you today how much money you have to bring towards your closing costs. You'll visit the property one more time today or tomorrow morning. You want to ensure there's no damage to the property. There's no leaks, no vandalism. Why? Because after closing, you own the property and it's your responsibility. These things should be revealed prior to closing. Another thing is you want to make sure things are in working condition as they were when you did the inspections and as they were when you signed the contract. Meaning, if the AC was working when you signed the contract and during inspections, it was hot today. If you check out the AC and it doesn't work, then you have to come up with a solution before closing. Maybe a repair is small and $300-400 and an estimate says it can be taken care of. They can give you a credit, they meaning the seller, to you, and you continue the closing. But what if it's a bigger problem? What if the HVAC technician says, you know what, it's not a Freon problem. The whole unit's dead. It has to be replaced. Closing will definitely be adjourned for a while until permits and a new AC unit is installed. But the point of the walkthrough is to reveal these problems and address them at closing, not after closing, because any calls after closing, you are the owner and would become your responsibility. Working with your attorney is important because it's a team-oriented approach getting to closing. One person can't do it. The attorney's got to work with NJMFA, Jesse, Cynthia, the home inspector, the realtor, the title company, the lender, the appraiser. Everybody and their grandmother always calls the attorney. And their job is to work with all personalities and get the job done to the closing at the closing table. Your attorney should be considered as like your personal bodyguard. They're there to work with everyone, to vet everyone, and to make sure people are not taking advantage of you. Their job is to work with people and discern if any information is not accurate and whether, quite frankly, if somebody is incorrect, to the best of their ability, they'll try to correct them. As they all work together, they'll signal the closing. The attorney will talk to your lender and coordinate this. And as I said, in this make-believe example, we're closing tomorrow. This is an overview. Now, I will end with one last point. Please try to hang on this point. I believe you will appreciate this point many months later or later on. You will thank me for this point. I try to save it to the end so people remember it, in case you remembered nothing else. When you close, the seller has to provide a certificate to the buyer prior to closing. The seller has to contact the township to perform an inspection. The township comes, and performs an inspection, and if it passes, the township signs off and provides a certificate. One certificate is from the fire department. If the smoke detector, carbon monoxide detectors work, they passes, a certificate is issued. The second inspection is called a certificate of occupancy inspection by the building department. If that passes, they sign off, and that certificate is given to the seller. Now, if anything fails, they'll tell you what needs to be failed to the seller, and they fix it, and the township comes and re-inspects it. If it passes, then they'll issue a certificate. Every town has one or both inspections, meaning certain towns have the smoke detector certification and the certificate of occupancy. Certain towns just have the certificate of occupancy. Certain towns only have the smoke detector certification. Everybody follow the pattern. It's one or the other or both. Google it up. Call the township's code enforcement. They'll clearly tell you in any town that you're buying which one is included, either or both. Now, hang with me on this detailed example. Let's say you put an offer today on a house and you're so excited and you saw a finished basement. That was one of the reasons why you made the offer and you were envisioning yourself enjoying the basement. 50% of the population may think or come to think whether that basement was done legally and properly with the township's permission. The other 50% may never give it a thought and just are so excited about the house and the basement. There's no judgment here. Either position is a belief. Let's assume you picked the position number one, that you did not realize if the basement was done with the proper permission. Your attorney will ask the other side, and let's make pretend the township we're buying today is a township that only requires a smoke detector certification, not a building inspection or what I refer to as a certificate of occupancy. That means only the smoke detectors are checked. So let's say it passes and the seller provides a certificate to your attorney and says, here's the smoke detector certification. That's the only thing the township requires. Your attorney asks whether the basement's legal, receives a certificate. Now, this is what separates experienced attorneys and not experienced and wisdom. Your attorney can either accept the certificate, move on, and you will rely on that, or your attorney can say, thank you for the certificate, but this is not enough. I need a permit. Let's assume your attorney does not ask for anything more, accepts the smoke detector certificate. Unfortunately, that's a mistake. You wouldn't know this mistake, and it's not your responsibility to know. But you learned something from this seminar. It's not enough. You have to have a permit, which is a piece of paper from the township that says they inspect it after they did the work. Now, let's assume you didn't ask, you closed, and you got your smoke detector certificate. Fast forward 4 years till today. Today, the busy market and the new buyer loves your basement and the stuff that you did to it, decorations, and they want to make an offer. Now, this buyer will ask you, is the basement legal? You present your smoke detector certificate from when you closed. That's the only thing you received, and you hand it to your attorney, and your attorney gives it to the other attorney. Except this buyer is much more smarter than you. And don't worry, millions of people are smarter than you and I. And they ask, where is the permit? And you say, what do you mean? This is all I received. You call the township and ask if there was a permit for the finished basement. And the township responds, we don't have any records of any permit for the basement. That means the township thinks the basement is not legal. It's illegal. Now the buyer will ask you to legitimize the basement. That means you may have to get an electrical contractor to review it and certify it was done correctly, maybe a plumber, maybe architectural drawings, and definitely legal fees. This adds up very quickly, very expensive, and you'll be very aggravated to know that you are spending money on a basement that you enjoyed but didn't create. You may argue that you didn't do any of the work, you bought it like this. That defense will work in third grade. That will not work here. The buyer will force you to legitimize and legalize the basement. Now, there's two ways to solve this problem. That's why I saved this for the end. It's generally against my interest to tell you how to fix this problem or how to prevent it, because I make a very good living fixing these problems for lots of clients. But there's two ways to do this. One way is to file what's called an open records Public Act search. That's Open Records Public Act request form. It's a free form. Anyone can fill it out. You don't have to be an owner. And once you complete it, by law in 10 days, the township has to share whatever information they have on the property on the one you're buying. That doesn't mean there'll be any information, but whatever they have, they're not being nice. They have being obligated by law to provide it to you. Now, if you sign a contract and the seller says, I got a brand new roof, brand new water heater, brand new heater, now you've learned something in the seminar, you need permits for that. If the township has no records of any permits, then you know something is up, and you want the seller to either obtain them or get them for you before closing. Why? Because after closing, you're on the hook for this, and you're getting it for the next buyer, period. So you want to definitely fill out the Open Records Public Act request, and you want to do that right away. So by the time you do home inspections, you get the results of the Open Record Public Act, and you become a detective and combine your inspections with that, and you'll have much better results. The last thing I would say is I would call code enforcement in any township you're buying a house. There's human error. Public requests make mistakes all the time. But when you call the township code enforcement, ask them one question. Is there any permits that are open? And listen to the answer. If any permits are open, whatever they say, you know you want the seller to close them out on their watch. This will definitely prevent at least unexpected expenses and legal fees and aggravation, hopefully after closing. My name is Satal J. Shah. I don't even know if I said my name. We assist clients in all 26 counties in New Jersey. So if you need our help, our associates and I are there, and we'll travel to help you do your closing. Do not worry. If you have any questions, email us and give us a call. I know Cynthia and Jesse have sent out my information on Attorney Shah's Guide to Buying Your First Home. I'm very happy to say it's the most heavily downloaded item off my website. We had 6.4 million web hits on it, and we get a lot of good feedback. It's been mentioned on several TV shows, including HGTV. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Shah Legal. That's SHAHLEGAL_COM. That's Shah, SHAHLEGAL_COM. And you can follow us on Instagram for promotions and explanations on future topics, including as is, how to deal with that in a contract, and affordable housing rules and regulations, which we just actually did a seminar on, and that's going to be posted shortly. I want to thank everybody for listening. God bless everyone, and I wish everybody lots of luck, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Satal. Always such great information. And hopefully no one comes, hopefully no one has those issues that he was describing, but you'll be glad that you learned all of this, right? Very important stuff. So does anyone have any questions for Satal? Anything at all? Take advantage. He's our attorney and he can answer questions right now for free.
Yes, that's true.
Most important.
Yes, that's true.
How long does it take for the open records like to process? Like I know you said to do it immediately, but how long after I fill the form out will everything be processed?
10 days by law, they have to answer your question once you fill it out.
Oh, thank you.
Within 10 days, they have to reply,
Okay.
the township.
Great question. I didn't know that one.
Very good question. And it's probably great when you sign a contract. Why? Because when you do home inspections, the inspector may say, do you know if there's a permit for this, or this doesn't look right? So if you get the results of the open record request form before you start your inspections, combining that information both together with both of it will give you a better impact of getting the seller to address stuff. Do you follow what I mean? Versus filling it out later, halfway in the transaction, doesn't really make any sense. You don't want to learn about bad things halfway through after you spend time and money on your attorney in the process.
Right.
So as soon as you sign the contract, it's a smart thing to do. And now with COVID, a lot of places I heard you could just do it right online, so you really don't even have an excuse. And there's no fee for it. So it's not like they're going to swipe your credit card.
Right. That's good. Anyone else have questions for Sital? Anything on attorney review or anything like that? Okay, I don't have any questions in the chat, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna put my email address in case you think of anything else. After this webinar, feel free to email there. That's our marketing@njhmfa.gov, where you also have Sital's information, you have Jesse's email address. And again, you'll receive the email tomorrow. It's a thank you email. We'll have a survey in there too. And then all of the links to the information we put in the chat tonight and the recordings for the webinars. So with that, I'm going to say thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Sital. Thank you everyone for coming on tonight. I hope this was helpful to you. And please visit our website and all the links that we sent. Information's out there, and we want to make sure you have it. So thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.